And welcome back to the ranch again. I just wanted to do a quick update on what's been going on here, what I've been finding, and all that good stuff. Didn't get any parts this week with the snowstorms that we had, so I can't put anything back together here. Hopefully they'll show up this week or maybe, but for wear, as you can see on the shaft here, how bad that's worn in, and so that sat in that center support, and then also on the outside support there's some wear in that as well, as well as the groove pin that helps retain that in there. There's quite a bit of wear in that, so then that just all adds into the rocking that was going on, causing the additional wear and creating that all that extra slop in the valves. And not knowing what kind of material that is and how well a guy can build that up with a weld, or what kind of weld it needs to be, I'm not familiar with that, so I'm not even going to attempt that myself, especially when this isn't mine. And so I think what the next best thing I can do, since this is unavailable, unless the guy did a lot of searching in salvage yards, is just to flip this over to the other side, and that'll give me a fresh surface on the top side, since the valve springs and the push rods will have the upward force on this all the time, and having a fresh top side will keep it all straight. It won't want to have a tendency to rock, and that'll buy some time here to help it run and keep the valve lash where it should be. And the only other thing I needed to do then was this washer that was tucked in on this side, not really supposed to be there, but I think for this application I found another washer, opened up the inside diameter so it fits on the shaft, and that'll act as a dam, because your oil supply comes up through the center hole to feed your rocker shafts to lube your rockers. And so, like I said, this will act as a dam for what's worn in here, and just kind of help keep the oil from just spraying out through there. It'll help feed it down through the rockers and lube as it should. So with new groove pins coming, I got new spring clips. This one here was kind of spread open. It's supposed to be some spring washers. This one's a flat, so I'm not sure what would have happened to the original spring washer, and that'll help keep this rocker up against that support. And the other thing I was thinking I might do is put some certain Loctite. I got to look at the number. I don't remember if it was 680 or what I was thinking of using, and just to help strengthen the support that it needs to keep it firm, so that it doesn't move around so much. And so whatever I can do to buy some time for this thing, until a person has to do something with it. That can be somebody else's project later on. But that'll, oh, and then yeah, with these things floating in and out so bad, you can see in the light, this is worn pretty deep over here on this side. That was riding on the spring keeper on top of the valve there, and so that was certainly not riding on top of the stem like it should have. But hopefully this will get it all snugged up and everything staying where it needs to be. And then so when I do the valve adjustment, we're going with 20 thousandths, and it should stay there, rather than using this feeler gauge and hoping that'll work, which I know it wouldn't. So anyway, that'll, I think, will tighten up and buy us some time in the valve train. I did measure the cam, and not the cam itself, but I did measure the cam height using a method here I'll show in a little bit. but the book shows for our cam lobe lift, and so you got your intake and exhaust, and for our BC 144, those are our measurements. And when I went through each cylinder on the intake and exhaust, those are measurements that I had gotten, and our total wear on these, most of it was on number 1 with 12.5 thousandths and 16 thousandths on the exhaust and the intake. I think the next most worn was over on number 4. The intake had 13.5, then we were at 10.5 on 3. Otherwise, to have 9.5 down to 6.5 on the others. That I would say is more like normal wear. It's not like we had one lobe just totally start chewing away when it gets through that hardened surface there. I've seen it where there was a good 50-60 thousandths gone on the lobe, and it really makes a funny lope coming out of those cylinders, just because it's not getting the lift and opening the valve up the way it should. And a lot of times that when we do these kind of adjustments, or not adjustments, checks, that will determine whether or not we're doing an in-frame or not a frame overhaul. And just to kind of show you the setup here that I use for checking the cam lift, I just use my dial indicator and a magnet holder for the dial indicator, and I just rest it right on the push rod there, and then I roll the engine over, and then I can see what the cam lift is from where it's flat. I zero it out at the flat, and then I roll it over till I get to my upper limit on the lobe, and that's my whole measurement. And then I do that across the whole engine, and get all your readings that you need there, and kind of gets you on the road for figuring out what you got to do. And also gives you an idea of the condition of the engine a little bit too, on how much wear everything is, because you'll have wear in the tappets or the lifters, whichever you have, and just kind of a nice way to do that. I like using this Noga magnet holder. You can position that wherever you need to, and just as long as you got a good flat surface, you can magnetize it too, and just it gives you a nice easy way to test all that kind of stuff. So we have that going on. Did some cleaning. I got the valve cover cleaned up. We'll be ready to go. Cleaned out the half-inch of sludge that was in there, so that's all nice and clean, ready for some fresh oil. Over in the can, I got that soaking with that other little element that was all kind of plugged up, and so we'll get that cleaned out. And let's see, what else? I was going to show something that happened here a little while back. When I was sitting down here and I was monkeying with the distributor, and I got up and I clipped the light, broke that off, and left a little mark on my forehead for a little while. So any pun intended. Otherwise, yeah, if you got a bright idea, don't stand up too fast, you'll hit the light. Kind of smarts for a little bit. At least I didn't hit the support bar anyway. That would have really hurt. It's one thing, hazards in mechanic occupation when you're working on tractors, kind of like that one over there. When you got a door open there and you're working underneath and you get up real fast and you slam your head in that. Yeah, it's I don't really swear, but the words do come to mind. So anyway, that's what we got going on here, and just kind of a quick update with all that's going on, and we'll talk at you later. Bye.